So if only you had a little link that said, I'm so glad you're staying. Here's everything you need to know about your trip. And they click on that and everything's formatted for when they need it with directions and check-in information and then the recommendations. That's our whole point.
Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Live, Let Thrive. And we have a special guest. And again, this is episode 52. This is David Jacoby from Hostfully, co-founder of Hostfully. And give it up for David, everybody.
All right, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thanks for being on the show. And real quick, Myka couldn't join us today. He's been super busy on one of his top secret projects. But so y'all got me and David. So David's gonna have to steer the ship. A lot of pressure on you, man.
All right, just us girls.
There you go. It's the pink background that's doing it, isn't it? I'm in my daughter's room. I told David, let's move it to 4:30 today instead of 5. And because I was going to get home, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to move everything to my daughter's room because where the home office is right in front, it's like, I have a 10-month-old too, and so I get a lot of baby noises in the background. So I decided I'm gonna move it over here, all the stuff, and so that put me behind a little. But we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it sounds. A little, it's something different. So.
All right, I know how that goes too. 5 and 6-year-old, and I have a home office, so you never know when an interruption is going to happen.
I actually had a listener from Hawaii saying, yeah, we love your show, just don't ever, and we love the family feel to it. Don't ever lose that background noise. But I think she's awesome. The only one that's cool with it. I don't know. So David, great to have you on. Go ahead and tell the listeners all about your story from rags to riches and all that good stuff.
Oh boy, where to begin with that? So open-ended. All right, well, thanks for having me on, and I'll just do a shout out to Lenny Sharp as well, who you had recently, and he's a enthusiastic Hostfully user, and he made the introduction, so appreciate that.
Lenny.
So Hostfully, I'll tell you a little bit about Hostfully and kind of how that came to be, I guess. We're a platform for individual hosts and for vacation rental management companies to improve their guest communications. So we make it easy for them to make beautiful digital guidebooks that they can share with the guests. And it includes everything they need to know, all the important information about how to get there, how to check in, the house manual stuff, so house rules, what the Wi-Fi code is, how to turn the TV on, how to use the laundry, and then all their favorite local recommendations, what the best nearby coffee shop is, best place for dinner, a cool hike to take, that street with the hidden murals, stuff like that. So a slightly longer version, how that kind of came to be is from my personal experience as both a host and even before that as a guest. About 8 years ago now, my wife and I, we took a 1-year sabbatical and traveled around the world. We had our 1 year of fun before we were handcuffed for the next 20 years doing this kid thing, right, Steve?
Yeah.
Not that this isn't fun, just a different kind of fun.
Right.
And we went to 27 countries and 5 continents and ended up staying in 38 homes during that trip. Some were through traditional vacation rentals, and also some through friends of friends. And then, are you familiar with the website couchsurfing.org?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Cool. So that's like Airbnb without the financial transaction. It's literally hosts who want to help travelers travel, and they open up their homes and let you stay there for free. They want to meet people from other cultures. It was real popular.
And Airbnb crushed them.
Yeah, it was real popular around 10 years ago. I think it was kind of at its peak when we did our sabbatical. And then shortly after that, they actually changed from being a nonprofit to a for-profit, and they raised some venture money and tried to kind of monetize it, and they lost a lot of the enthusiastic base when that happened. And it's kind of changed and gone a little bit downhill, and some competing platforms started that were more nonprofit. But anyways, through Couchsurfing specifically, we stayed with people for free in Lima, Peru, and Cairo, and Jerusalem, in Kigali, Rwanda, Hanoi, Vietnam, some real random places. And that's when I first realized the incredible influence that the host has on the guest's stay. You know, anything a host told us to do went to the top of the priority list, above Lonely Planet or TripAdvisor or Yelp or something like that. You know, we got the inside scoop, we got the hidden gems. And then after that trip, we moved here to San Francisco into a single family home, and we renovated the basement space and turned it kind of into an in-law unit for the primary purpose of my parents actually coming out from Connecticut to spend 3 months a year with their grandkids. They don't care about me anymore, just the grandkids. And then the other 9 months, we started doing short-term rentals with that. And that was such a good experience that the main 2 floors of our house where we live, we have an extra guest room. And we paid back some of the good karma and put that on Couchsurfing. And we also put that on Airbnb as well. So we've had well over 200 guests in our home in the past few years. And I've been an Airbnb superhost now for 13 quarters in a row. I've spoken at their conference, the Airbnb Open, the last 2 years that they had it. And I realized firsthand the pain point of being in constant communication with guest after guest and answering all the questions that they have before their trip and then their separate set of questions while they're staying with me. And also realize the pleasure of hearing from them that they went to my favorite coffee shop and they went to my favorite brunch spot. And sure, they went to Fisherman's Wharf and Alcatraz and did all the touristy things, but it was staying in my neighborhood and going to the places I told them to go to that made their trip memorable and unique and got me the consistent 5-star reviews that then let me charge more for my listing. And so as most hosts have done, I started creating a really mediocre looking 3-ring binder kind of house manual to have. And I kind of realized there's got to be a better solution for this and was surprised that there wasn't really anything on the market to help me do that. So that's kind of the genesis for Hostfully and the guidebooks. And I'll kind of cap it off by saying after a few years of doing this, we have now over 8,000 guidebooks on our platform in 80 countries. And it's so much fun to see a guidebook on the same day, one in South Africa and one in Saigon got created. We have a host in Uganda created a guidebook. And then our next adventure is just beginning. A couple months ago, we actually merged with another company called Orbi Rental, and they're a property management software for larger vacation rental management companies. Not necessarily for individual hosts, although we do have people who have like 1 listing and 2 listings using our software. So now we've kind of doubled our suite of services that we can often offer to hosts, and this new adventure is beginning. So that was a lot of talking. I'll take a breather.
Yeah, take a sip of coffee or tea or something. I like to drink tea when I do my the show. So I don't know what's that all about.
All right.
It gives me enough energy, but it doesn't make me like freak out. Like twitch and stuff. It's like right in the middle there. So yeah, that's what I haven't got around to it. I've heard of, Myka I believe he uses Hostfully actually.
Awesome.
And so, yeah. And he loves it. I started Airbnb in October, and I've just done everything, myself and the communications and stuff like that. But he's told me it's pretty awesome that, he's got nothing but 5 stars since then. So that sounds pretty great. And this isn't an infomercial, by the way, for our guest, our buddy Lenny. Y'all heard Lenny's episode, and he said he told David, "Hey man, you got to go on these guys' show." He did say we were pretty raw, and we are raw. And so, I don't know what that was about, Lenny, but thanks for the backhanded compliment. But he said, "David, you got to go on their show. They're pretty cool guys." And so anyways, I was the dude from Hostfully, the dude from Jasper's show is going to come on our show. That's kind of, 1 degree of separation. That's pretty cool. And so I've been wanting to do something like this. And I've stayed, like you said, I've stayed at guest's place where they have that 3-ring binder on their coffee table when you get there. And it's like this thick. I'm holding up, my fingers far apart, and I'm like, and I look at a couple things, the Wi-Fi and a couple other things. But other than that, I don't go through it too much, and it's just like too overwhelming. And some of them put like pictures of the restaurants and stuff like that. But what you do is it's all online, right? It's all digital.
It is. We actually have a print version too, and I think it's still important to have that print version. A lot of guests who are on vacation, they don't always want to be on their phone, and when they're in the listing, they want to sometimes be able to kind of look through something physical. But the focus is on it being a digital guidebook, and there's a few things that you can do with that you can't do when it's that 3-ring binder. For example, make a great first impression right away and send it to the guest right away. Maybe people have taken that 3-ring binder and turned it into a PDF, but it's not formatted for a phone, and the guest is doing, a lot of scrolling and zooming in and zooming out. So after that reservation is made, to be able to send that guidebook, it shows that you're professional right off the bat. Additionally, when the guest is in the destination and they're out and about, they're not taking that 3-ring binder and putting it in their backpack. So at the end of the day, if they want to know, hey, where does my host suggest I have dinner, they kind of need to go back to the listing to look up that information. And then finally, the ability, to add links and to embed video. For example, do you know how scary a laundry machine is if you're from another country? So being able to show, here's how you work the laundry, or here's how you use the crazy Keurig coffee machine, or turn the TV on, something like that. We have a lot of hosts who have made videos, and obviously you can't do that with a 3-ring binder.
And so you on your bio, it says co-creator. Who did you create this company with?
Yeah, sure. So we have a couple co-founders, Margot Schmorek. Our kids talk about kids. Our kids go to preschool together, and we were both in fun employment in transition, and went out to lunch, and one thing led to another, and we found our skill set is quite complementary. And then she used to work at Apple. She used to work with Noah Neiman, who's our head of product, and so the three of us kind of got together pretty early and got it going. Now we're excited that Stefan Osment on the Orbi rental side, he's on our team as well, and he's the co-founder of that. So we're a good team of 4 on the co-founder side, and we have about 6-7 other people who are on our team. Oh,
that's cool. And real quick, you said that if someone, I just want to throw it out there right away, if someone's, might have a pen in their hand, are we going to get like our own code if someone did actually sign up to you guys, like with you guys through us? And then, what would they put on there?
Absolutely. Let's get that promo out right now. So for those who don't, finish the show. Right. So the cool news is that one guidebook is actually free. So I encourage everyone to go to hostfully.com, HOSTFULLY, and you can sign up for a guidebook. And for many people who just have one property, you're going to love that free product. We also have a Power Host product that has some more bells and whistles with that free guidebook. So if you want to kind of enhance it and have it be like a super duper cool guidebook, you can pay basically $9.99 a month for that. And then we have another product for 2 to 5 guidebooks called Prime. So we are offering 2 free months for both of those products with the code liveletthrive. And so go take a look at it.
It's a genius code, by the way.
Thank you. Try my best.
So I will be making my guidebook later tonight. I've been meaning to get on it, and it's funny. You've dealt with Airbnb for a while, so I just started in October, and it's making pretty good money, pretty decent money over here in Texas. And I was the first when the first Superhost thing go around was. The first, when I guess you get a few months to do it, and then the first assessment was going around, and I was right at the cusp, of getting the assessment. And I said, Myka, there's an open date there. You want to book my place? Kind of wink, wink, book my place. Give me a good review if you could. If you like the place, if he goes and actually uses it. But anyways,
just kidding. If anyone's actually listening from Airbnb,
But anyway, this is the funny part that, which is it is actually a good idea to get a friend of yours, and not I'm not trying to be shady or nothing, but to go ahead and do the whole booking process, stay at your place, give them a discount, $10 a night, whatever, and they actually stay there for a night, and especially someone else that does Airbnb, because right off the bat, I sent him my greeting message after he said, "Oh, I'd like to book your place," and I sent him the greeting message. "Oh, thank you so much," and he booked it. And I sent him the whole a message through Airbnb, like a 2,000 word thing through Airbnb my own little message that was a guidebook, and whatever. It gave us some suggestions and where we are and blah blah blah, and house rules. It was all in one long message, and he goes, and right away he goes, "Man, do I got to read all that stuff?"
Exactly. Yep.
And so, but even though he's trying to help me out with my early reviews, I thought about that. I was like, that's he might be trying to be funny a little bit, but wow, that is a lot. The second message I give them is like everything they need to know, and I'm like, and who likes to read run-on sentences,
Amen to that. Not me. So if only you had a little link that said, "I'm so glad you're staying. Here's everything you need to know about your trip." And they click on that and everything's formatted for when they need it with directions and check-in information and then the recommendations. That's our whole point. No one reads that long email.
That's awesome. And so I'm definitely going to set mine up. And you pop onto our buddy Jasper's show a lot, don't you?
Yeah, we love working with Jasper. He's got 2 shows a week, one where he interviews different Airbnb hosts, and then another is a news, this week in the world of Airbnb sort of thing. And myself and my colleagues, Glenn, Nicole, and Margot, all with Hostfully, we kind of rotate. So once a month, you'll hear us with Jasper doing news updates. Although on that note, I don't know if you heard the update, Jasper is working on a book, and he is taking a little bit of time off on the podcast. So we are not doing weekly podcasts anymore. It's going to be more along the lines of monthly or so. But yeah, Jasper, he had us on the show a while ago, a couple of years ago, and he's always been very supportive of Hostfully, and it's turned into a really great working relationship now.
Yeah, we actually happened to interview him a couple of days ago. So
nice.
Yeah, that's gonna
because you had him a while ago.
Yeah, we had him when we very first started doing the podcast. When we were all like, so like, why do you like Airbnb, man? So so that show was a little rough, and this one probably is too. But yeah, we had him a couple of days ago. And like he's doing the whole change thing, he's going from just talking about which curtains and the drapes you should use to actually talking about more investing in Airbnb, and that's it's like a natural process, and I'm looking at doing that too. But he's a great dude, and yeah, man, his show's Get Paid for Your Pad. For those of you that don't know what his show is, it's an awesome podcast.
And he's got over 200 recordings now, and he's had lots of great folks in the industry. So it's a fun thing to go back and for podcast listeners here, listening to some other speakers that he's had. And it's one of those things where I had actually listened to him pretty regularly before I got into the space professionally with Hostfully, and then to kind of fast forward and here I am doing recordings with Jasper, doing podcast recordings. It's a little surreal to think that I was just a listener and not really in the space, and now I have my own business and I'm doing podcasts with him. So yeah, he's kind of an early leader in that space.
And now you're all big time and stuff.
Nah, barely, but at least I got things good with Jasper.
Right. So you said on your 8-year, it was an 8-year journey. Oh, I'm sorry. You've been doing Airbnb for 8 years ago.
Was our trip.
Was your trip, and you stayed at a mix of hotels and Airbnbs. And did you like one more than the other? Did you like, wow, this Airbnb thing is really cool, or did you see like good things from both that helped you formulate your business?
Yeah, for sure. We stayed in really runs the gamut from some fancy hotels, not many of those because we were on a budget, to a couple timeshares that we had, to some bed and breakfast, to some hostels, and then paid vacation rentals, and then free home sharing through couch surfing. So it really was a pretty wide range. And And as a rule, I'd say both for where you stay and traveling in general, like the less money you spend, oftentimes the more authentic the experience. Rick Steves kind of talks a lot about that. And definitely some of those vacation rental and couch surfing experiences versus hotels is really when we had these unique moments where in Peru, someone taking us to some tiny market that we never go to on our own that had this great ceviche, and the stand that had cow's hearts, anticuchos in the evening, or in Cairo, staying with someone in old Cairo where we never would have gone there on our own, especially my wife, because it was just men who were outside, and going to this kind of wedding celebration with them. So that's really where those authentic experiences happen, more so than hotels for sure.
Yeah, and it's funny. We went to a wedding. I've used Airbnb as traveling for so long now, and I just get used to the conveniences, like the kitchen, the little kitchenette or kitchen that they have there. And we went to a wedding not too far from here in a little town called Decatur, and they didn't have any really Airbnbs close to where the wedding was going to happen, so I got a little cheap hotel, and automatically, we had brought some food, and there's nowhere to warm it up. There's no microwave. There's nothing. And someone sent me a video yesterday on that note that people are trying to cook inside of hotels using the coffee maker and the iron.
Really?
So yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. That's funny.
That's a trip. So so bed and breakfast. Everybody, people. Well, early on there was like B&B. You have a B&B, like bed and breakfast. But you've stayed at bed and breakfast. And do you run something like that out of your own house? Do you feed them and stuff like that, the guests?
No, we're pretty clear. It's all about managing the expectations, right, and letting you know what the guests are getting and what kind of interactions you're having with the guests. Obviously, when it's our guest room where we're living, there is a lot more interaction. Although we always say we're available for our guests who are staying downstairs, but we're clear that there's coffee maker, well, pictures of that and what else that we provide. But no, we're not cooking for our guests. We got a pretty busy life, Steve, with 2 kids and just trying to make it day by day on our own. But to that point, just expanding on managing the expectations, we actually are very clear about our 5-year-old and 6-year-old that you're living in a home with them. So there's going to be, a toy on the floor, and there's going to be some, dirty dishes left on the table. And I'll say, let's just call it an authentic San Francisco experience. And we even include a picture of them in the picture section. So, once again, it's clear. Here's the bedroom, here's the kitchen, and here are our 2 kids who you're going to be living with. And it's great because, we still get lots of guests, and we get the ideal guests who want to stay in a home. They feel safer. It's, maybe, some young, early 20-year-olds who are backpacking from Europe that just want to stay with a family. It makes them feel like they're at home. And then they're more likely to have a few interactions with our kids, which we love. So as long as you're clear, whatever your situation is, you don't need to be embarrassed by it. The worst thing you can do is kind of hide it and then have the guests be surprised when they arrive.
Right. Now, when you were doing your travels through Europe, and what in other countries were they I don't know, more they would want to do more for you, they would want to cook for you, they would want to be more get
Yes.
to know you, and then other countries it was just like they didn't really say hi to you very much, or how was it?
No, I'd say the U.S. versus the rest of the world, I think we have a lot to learn about hospitality. I was just amazed and overwhelmed, humbled by the incredible hospitality from people all over the world. We had people who would meet us, and again, oftentimes couch surfing, where we're not paying anything. It's just out of the goodness of their hearts, and they would meet us at the train station at 6 a.m. to walk us to their place, or randomly ask someone a question on how to get from one town to another in this crazy bus terminal in India, and a guy spends all of a sudden a half an hour helping us find the right place, and then he's asking for permission to leave. So we're just amazed by the kindness of people, whether they were hosting us in their home or just showing us around. And I think the U.S. has a lot to learn from that.
Yeah, definitely. Mexico too. I've noticed they're very warm, very friendly people. You know, I mean, and it's just I don't know. It's just our mentality. Maybe like here in the U.S., people think, well, they want their space. We're all about. I guess we're more about our space here. Whereas you might go to some car rental place in Europe, and there'd be a dude like right beside you, like, whoa, man, why you up on me? Kind of. But it's just how the cultures, right? They just more close, more yeah.
Yeah, we could take a deep breath and slow down a bit more.
You know what tripped me out? We stayed in a small town in Vilanova de la Geltrú, which is like in Barcelona or outside of Barcelona, and I remember we bought these tickets right to the Picasso Museum, and we had to like hop on get to our car real quick and drive across town to go to the Picasso Museum in Barcelona. We're like, oh crap, waking up, we're trying to get ready. Women take forever to get ready. Us dudes, not so much. And so we got downstairs. I was like, I got to get a coffee. I want to get a piece of bread from the little bakery. We got our stuff, and we're scurrying. This is like a little small European town, beautiful little city, and we're like hurrying through this town trying to get to where our car is parked. And I'm over here drinking my coffee, eating the bread that I had bought, and then I noticed, a lot of outdoor cafes in Europe, and I noticed everybody just kind of like looking at us like. Sitting down, they're sitting down enjoying their coffee and their bread, and like I was like, yeah. I'm the only one walking and eating here,
Yep.
It's like it's so different over there. I mean, it's like live life first and then everything else second,
Amen.
That's my rant. So you're in agreement there, huh? So San Francisco, automatically I think of strict Airbnb regulations. Does that affect you at all or no?
So please come visit, come be my guest. You're welcome anytime, awesome. The whole family. So yes, there's been a lot of changes over the past few months, over the past few years, and then the past few months. So luckily it doesn't affect me. Basically, the law that got passed was you can only rent where you live. So if you have a second home here, you can't do short-term rentals with that. So my basement space is part of my home. So I'm able to do that. It's not like a legal second address. And then of course my guest room is part of my home. Also when we travel, we'll rent out the whole thing. But there are lots of people who were affected by that. So that was the main legislation that got passed, and there's a whole long story on how things evolved over the past few years, which I won't bore you on. The other big piece of news that just happened a few months ago was that Airbnb and the other websites, HomeAway, Booking.com, TripAdvisor, etc., they were required to remove listings from the website that weren't legally registered with the city. So for a while, even though the law was you can only rent where you live and you need to register with the city, a lot of people were still listing on Airbnb all these properties that weren't registered. And Airbnb was saying, hey, we're just a listing platform. It's not our job to be the policeman. Hey, City of San Francisco, you need to go after those hosts directly, but we can't police everyone. And essentially went to court, and a judge ruled in the city's favor and said because Airbnb is actually taking a financial transaction, a piece of that transaction, they're not like Craigslist. They are more involved, and therefore they do have a responsibility in doing some of the regulating as well. So overnight in January, about half the listings went off of Airbnb. There were about 8,000 to 10,000 listings on Airbnb in San Francisco, and now there's about 4,000 or so.
Wow. That's nuts. That's just poof. Well, that's good for you. I mean, more business going to you, right?
Yes. It's interesting. Things did not spike as everyone had thought. So what's interesting, too, about a lot of those listings, a lot of them were zombie listings where people the Super Bowl was here a couple years ago. So people created a listing for the Super Bowl thinking that they'd, make bank for that 1 week, and then they've never did it again. So there were kind of a lot of listings that weren't active. That was kind of the low-hanging fruit and easily got off the site. So it didn't change things dramatically, but there has been a little bit of an uptick.
Nice. So you, okay, y'all do the guidebooks, y'all do all the information that we want to get across to the guest. You make it simpler for us, which is great. And what else do you see Hostfully getting into in the future?
Yeah, well, we want to be more involved in that relationship, essentially, the guest communication side. So we're excited to strengthen and basically make the host's life easier by offering additional services through the guidebook. So imagine being a guest and you get this guidebook and you can book ground transportation, or you can book a mid-stay cleaning. It's helping hosts be able to provide more services to the guests, so make it easier for them to sell ground transportation or an extended checkout or a mid-stay cleaning and stuff like that. So whether the host themselves wants to offer it, or we can help the guest match them up with tours and activities that are up their wheelhouse, like if they like the hop on, hop off bus tour, or if they want to go to a baseball game or something like that. So that's kind of on the guidebook side specifically. And then with the merger with Orbi Rental, now being able to make a host's life a whole lot easier in terms of managing their whole business. So helping them list on not only Airbnb, but pushing that information to HomeAway and Booking.com and TripAdvisor, and having them get more bookings through a whole bunch of sites, having them have their own website so they can get repeat business directly and not have to pay that commission, and really grow their business, not being independent on the booking site. So helping them out with that, and just automating their messages, so making it easier for them to send, a welcome message and a reminder that they're checking out message, and a message to the cleaner that a new booking has arrived. So make sure to schedule a cleaning and just automate the life for a host.
So that's interesting. I think more people will start, hopefully, because I see, a lot of legislation coming down on Airbnb. It's just been happening a lot. Maybe it might ease up some, who knows? But like, people are trying to, there's other platforms, VRBO, HomeAway, stuff like that. But like you said, helping them do their own thing, but and y'all helping them along the way with their own website. That sounds very promising. That sounds cool. I mean, like would you help them like accepting payments and even stuff like that, or what?
Exactly. It takes just a couple minutes to create an account on Stripe, and then we integrate with Stripe. A lot of the other platforms actually don't do the payment processing like Airbnb does. So if you list on Booking.com, or if you list on HomeAway just started offering it where they'll do it, but you can also have it where you do the financial transaction. And then, of course, being able to have it on your own website. I'll do a shout out to Matt Landau and VRMB, as in boy, Vacation Rental Marketing blog. And he has a philosophy, and everyone on the inner circle there, a great discussion board of hosts. They really focus on listing site independence. And the goal every year should be for you to get more direct bookings this year than you had the year before, because it's not good to put all your eggs in one basket. You never know when the wind could blow the wrong direction, and all of a sudden your account is suspended for some reason. For you to grow your business and slowly get more and more direct bookings and have better SEO when people search vacation rentals in Dallas or something like that, that's really a good long-term strategy.
Now, have you ever dealt with, or do y'all work with Booking.com too? You able to integrate with them?
Yeah, so Hostfully and the Orbi Rental Property Management Software Platform, we have integration with the big four, essentially. So Booking.com and TripAdvisor and HomeAway and Airbnb. And I'm listed, my property is listed on all of them, so I do get reservations from all platforms.
Oh, cool. And the reason I asked was a funny thing happened a couple nights ago. I got a booking through Airbnb, and then I got a booking like immediately those same dates through Booking.com. And I was like, oh crap, what's going on here? So I was at the grocery store when it happened. I got home, I was like, hey, I called them and waited on hold for a while. But I said, hey, y'all booked something that it was already booked on Airbnb, and they're like, oh, and I think that It's a VR. I'm pretty sure that she's from the Philippines, and that's cool. But she was just trying to help me out and saying, "Oh, okay, well, this is what happened, and this and that. I'll send you to another person." I waited for a long time, and their solution was initially, before I went off on them a little bit because I was upset. But the solution was, well, don't worry, we're going to book them through another. We're going to find something similar to your listing, and if it does cost more than your listing, then you'll be subject to the charges. And I was like, what? I was freaking out. I was like, wait a minute, this ain't my fault. I synced everything like y'all told me to sync it. I started with them a few months ago. I did everything y'all said. It's synced with all my calendars. This booking, it wasn't my fault, and if y'all book them somewhere else, you're not gonna charge me for it. Now, so yeah, I see. And they finally sorted it out, because I guess I was putting up a fight, and they said, no, don't worry, we're not gonna charge you, blah blah blah. But I see what you're saying. Like, I mean, and what gets lost in a lot of this renting out your own house stuff, it's like you're relying on these other platforms, and there's kind of like, hey, it's my freaking house. You're not going to tell me what to do with my house. And if you can get to the point where you're running everything, then it's I mean, I think it's better, of course, and a lot less stress and dealing with customer service people from the other side of the planet. So that's just my personal experience.
Yeah, that's a bummer. Sorry to hear. And calendar management and double bookings, that's one of the benefits of actually having a central platform, whether it's Orbi Rental or another service, where as you start listing on multiple platforms, all of a sudden so I imagine, Steve, you kind of had your iCal sync between Airbnb and Booking.com. Is that right?
Right.
So eventually, if you add HomeAway to it, now you need kind of 3 iCal syncings, and then you have TripAdvisor, and you have 4 iCal syncings, and having a central home of that calendar. So each platform is just syncing with one place. So like Airbnb updates your property management software, HomeAway updates your property management software, and then you only need to drop that property management software iCal into Airbnb and into HomeAway and to Booking.com. It makes it a lot more easier to manage. So that's what most people, as they start to scale, will do. They'll have that central place. But yes, definitely being able to get more bookings on your own website and growing that business, it makes it a little easier if you need to cancel or find someone another place to stay. If you get a bad review, you control your website, so you can take that off if you want. So there's a lot more flexibility with that.
So are y'all that central place where it could sync all the bookings?
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Oh,
yes.
Damn. What am I doing? Why am I trying to do all this by myself? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense.
Yes. Get a software. You need it.
Oh man. So do you I probably know the answer to this, but so you enjoy doing Airbnb, correct? Are you renting out your place?
I love it. Yes. We love traveling, and now that we can't travel as much, having our jobs and having the kids, we love welcoming travelers from all over the world into our home. We love having our kids grow up in a home where people from around the world are visiting them. It's fun seeing our guests, seeing our kids interact with strangers in general, but in the comfort of their home, they're a little more likely to be outside of their shell. And we have a big rug in the kids' room of a map of the world, and having them talk to all the guests about where the guests are from, and having the guests show them on the map and stuff like that. It's great. We love it.
So on that note, do you see yourself trying to get more properties and doing it and scaling bigger, or are you just more focused on the business side?
Yeah, I'm focused right now on helping other property managers scale their business. So, I'm really 110% in on Hostfully and the Orbi rental property management software and our combined business, and working with other property managers versus kind of having my own enterprise of units. I'd also say here, specifically in San Francisco, you can't get a second property and a third property that's empty and have it be a full-time vacation rental, because again, the law is you need to rent where you live. So there's not a lot of professional vacation rental management companies here in San Francisco itself. That doesn't mean I couldn't do outside of San Francisco, but my focus is on Hostfully right now.
So now that they really stuck it to the evil Airbnb, I guess
Right.
rental prices just plummeted in San Fran, right?
That's what I keep saying, and I was quoted in the San Francisco Chronicle, the local newspaper, about that too. For the longest time, so there were some people that made Airbnb the big scapegoat as this is the reason why there's an affordable housing crisis. And the truth is there has been an affordable housing crisis here in San Francisco long before Airbnb, and there will be for a while. And for the longest time, though, some folks, some politicians, some supervisors were saying, we really got to stick it to Airbnb. We got to stop doing short-term rentals. It's killing things. And now that this law went into place, my tongue-in-cheek quote was exactly what you said. So how come the prices aren't going down significantly? I thought we solved the affordable housing crisis. And I think it's going to be pretty clear here in San Francisco, as well as other cities where this legislation has been put in place, is that the truth of the matter is this is barely moving the needle. There are much bigger issues in many cities, San Francisco specifically, such as just needing more housing, needing to build a lot more housing of all levels, high-end and affordable housing. And also the hidden truth that there's a lot of individual owners and banks that are basically sitting on properties that they're not renting out because they want the prices to go up, and then they can get a better deal later. So there's lots of empty units right now that are not being used at all, and some legislation needs to happen around that.
Oh, wow. And you don't think it's anything from the hotel industry whispering in these guys' ears to shut down Airbnb?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's an organization called Share Better. There's Share Better in New York, Share Better here, that we're kind of leading the charge against short-term rentals, and a lot of their funding and relationships are with the hotel lobby. So you'll see that in many places. I know there's a big battle in Hawaii going on right now, and the hotel industry is very strong in Hawaii. And most cities are pretty strong, and it's hard for the local host community to get together because it's individuals like me, right? It's not necessarily these big companies that can really gather. So here in San Francisco, actually, we did organize as a separate body. We have an organization called the Home Sharers Democratic Club, and we are actually an official chartered organization of the DCCC, of the Democratic Party here in San Francisco. And a few years ago, there was a big Proposition F and No on F, a big voter ballot initiative against short-term rentals. And so we kind of organized separately from Airbnb so we could meet with supervisors and say, hey, we're not shills for Airbnb. We are our own voice. We are, constituents here who are voting for you, and we want to tell you how we feel about short-term rentals and how it's keeping us from, how it's letting us stay in the city, keeping us from moving. And that's been really effective, and it's allowed us to meet with supervisors and to help, shape some of the legislation. And if anyone listening in the Bay Area is here, we're actually having our second annual trade fair coming up on May 22nd. It was a big success last year. We had over a couple hundred attendees, and we had 30 vendors. It was a great celebration of the home sharing ecosystem. It was an evening where everyone came and just learned about all the different tools and software available to them. There was dynamic pricing companies like Beyond Pricing and Wheelhouse, and there were other software companies, and then there were tour operators like Alcatraz Combo Tours that wanted to speak with hosts so they can offer it to their guests, and there was a furniture company to promote their furniture. So it was a really cool ecosystem and celebration, and I encourage other hosts in other towns to get those meetup groups going and to really mobilize, because there's a lot you can do when you have a strong community.
Awesome. No, it's funny what you touched on just a second ago about let's say the evil Airbnb wanted to get rid of Airbnb. It's causing prices to go crazy, whatever. And the irony of it is, like, and if they're trying to stop it, and people, like you said, the only way some people can stay in the city is by renting out a room or two rooms in their house, and you're gonna end up getting more people out of the city that can't afford to live there anymore. And it's just it's messed up.
It's the other side of affordable housing, we say. This makes it affordable for people who are already living in San Francisco, who constantly are getting outpriced and have to leave. This makes it possible for them to stay in the city.
And it's funny. I guess I was flipping through, I don't know, YouTube or one of those things the other night, and I saw like I guess they did a Grateful Dead, how they formed and all that stuff, the Grateful Dead and the whole Haight Ashbury and the Summer of Love, all that stuff, and they all flocked to San Fran because it was they can get places to rent there cheap, and they all rented these.
Oh boy.
And that must have been that's a long time ago. But I mean, so I assume that area is just ridiculously priced right now.
Yeah, the whole city in general. There's been a new wave of these kind of WeWork, but like we live spaces, these kind of hipster, techie, communal living spaces where it's almost like dorms, essentially. And there have been some that have been, I think, borderline illegal, where they've been hosting too many people. But there's other ones that are not illegal, that are, totally legit. And it's a very cool kind of dorm, but for the professional person. So you have a place to stay, and there's a lot of shared living facilities, though, and it's kind of an immediate community, immediate kind of startup community vibe. And people, especially young people, they don't need a whole big place to their own. They can have a little room and share communal space and save a few bucks. So that's been getting more popular lately.
Oh, that's cool, man. I've never experienced renting out of my own house. I mean, I have another house where I do all my renting, so I don't get all that interaction with the guests, which I miss that a little bit. And if you're gonna give some advice, some tips to our listeners, even me, if I'm trying to talk the wife into doing it, like how do you open your house and to other people around the world, and what makes it a little more palatable?
Well, so for my personal situation, the excuse for my wife is that we can then get a cleaner to come clean our home if we're going to have someone stay
Great.
in our guest room. So if our place is getting dirty, then Kim will say, "Yeah, let's just get a guest," because then she knows I'll pay for a cleaner. So that kind of is part and parcel. But oftentimes we look at it as if there is something we want to splurge for. If we want to get a new iPhone, or if we're saving up for a vacation, we'll kind of have this be that extra money where, all right, let's have a few more guests this month, and that'll be an excuse to go out and splurge, have that vacation.
Oh, that's cool. Do you put like digital locks on everybody, each particular door, so they can come in and do their own thing?
So the guest room itself does not have that, and neither does my bedroom or the kids' bedroom. We have a very trusting house here. Maybe we err on the too trusting side. I'm not sure, but that's how we do it. Even when we rent our whole house out, when we travel on vacation, we don't. A lot of people, and I would encourage this, will put a lot of valuables or something in one closet and lock that closet up, and we don't. We just trust people. But we do have smart locks for the front of our home, and that's huge. We love having that. On a personal note, so I use August Lock. There's lots of options out there. One thing I love about August is, even unrelated to my guests, but it detects when I'm close to home, so it will automatically unlock the door as I'm approaching, and I just walk in and open my door. It's great. I don't need my keys. So that's really cool. But being able to have codes for my guests where I can change it on a per guest basis, and being able to have a specific code for my cleaner, and then I get notifications when the door's been open, so I know when guests have arrived. That's helpful.
Cool. Now, I get this question a lot from from friends or coworkers that hear that I'm doing Airbnb, and I'll go ahead and ask you, David. How do you handle axe murderers?
I just give them a bad review. I mean, it's all about the community. So if we have an axe murderer, I just make sure to write a review so that other guests know not to host that axe murderer.
Great, golden advice right there. Golden.
How about you? What do you do?
I battle them with my bare hands. No, man, it's funny because like it's so funny. That's the first question I get. Like if when I tell someone that I'm gonna do Airbnb or I'm doing Airbnb, well, what if an axe murderer stays at your place? Are all these axe murderers like running around that we don't know about? Are axes still a popular go-to for murderers? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we need some more axe control legislation to be passed. But no, but on a related note too, I was telling someone about, I've gotten this question a few times about my smart lock. They're like, aren't you concerned that someone can kind of hack your lock and they can, unlock the door? And I'm like, frankly, living here in a city, I'm more concerned that someone will just take a rock and throw it through the window and, and break in. If someone really wants to break in, there's a lot of easier ways they can break in.
Right. Serious, I'll go ahead and ask it. There's always an elephant in the room when we talk about San Fran. Do you warn your guests about like the homeless situation and like where not to go, stuff like that?
Not in any official way. Like sometimes I'll have conversations if people bring it up. It has become more of an issue here, and it is a very hot topic here in San Francisco because it is fairly visible. There's a lot of kind of tent cities that have been popping up. In my neighborhood, thankfully, there aren't a lot. Although I do live near Golden Gate Park, and I did have one guest who parked right along the side of the park, and that's oftentimes a place where there will be smash and grab. People from the park will kind of run to the first car they'll see that's parked alongside and just break in, petty theft, and grab a suitcase or grab something that's in there. So I definitely make sure to tell our guests not to leave anything in their car, and also not to park near Golden Gate Park specifically. But other than that, I've had casual conversations with guests who have brought it up, but it's not a big, like that elephant in the room. It's not like something where every guest is talking about it and it's something that needs to be addressed. I think, people who are familiar with cities in general, there's homeless issues in many cities. San Francisco is probably a little bigger than average, but it's not like the big thing that everyone's talking about when they come and visit.
Okay, cool, man. Let me see. What do I have here in my notes for you? I just got off work, so so I rushed home, and I told you I made this whole room, my daughter's room I'm using now to get more, a little more quiet in here. But you brought up earlier, you asked how Myka runs, or how many Airbnbs he has. I said over 400, and that's because he does the timeshare thing. And that's what I think. What you do, it makes his life a whole lot easier because dealing with like 100 guests at once would be damn near impossible, I would think, unless he's just going to stare at his phone all freaking day, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, well, I'd love to talk with him more some other time too, and learn about what tools he has in place to help manage and scale his business. And there might be some ways we could help him out, whether it's the automated communications, whether it's the digital guidebooks, or being able to list on other platforms. There's that's the beauty of our software. There's lots of things that you can kind of pick and choose from. We have lots of integrations with other softwares too. So like we'll integrate with the dynamic pricing companies, for example, and now that pricing comes into our software, and then we push it out to all the different platforms, or we integrate with Properly to help manage your cleaning, or QuickBooks to help manage your accounting. So there's lots of cool things you can kind of pick and choose from this a platter of services that we can help you with.
Nice. Yeah, I was about to ask about pricing, but y'all kind of outsource that or farm it out, right?
Yeah, you can do your own pricing if you want. I definitely recommend the dynamic pricing tools out there. The big four are Beyond Pricing, Wheelhouse, Pricelabs, and OutSwitch. And I've heard good things about all of them. They all have small, different features. Pricelabs charges a monthly fee, and the others usually do a commission, a take of the additional revenue. But what I like about it is I don't need to worry about doing the research of whether there's a big music festival going on or a big conference going on. They know that well in advance, and I'll look onto my pricing onto my calendar, and I'll see that this weekend the price is is double. And I'm like, oh, phew, they knew Outside Lands, this big concert was going on, and that there's going to be big demand during that time. They also know to lower the pricing. So, 7 days in advance, if your place still isn't booked, they'll lower it to help you get a booking. So there's lots of cool levers you can put into place for most of them. You have a base price, you have a minimum price. You can say kind of how booked up in advance you want to be or not. And I trust it to all these data scientists to know the pricing for my place better than I can on a nightly basis. One other cool thing about that too is it updates your calendar daily, and Airbnb looks pretty regularly at how active your listing is. And if you're kind of in there updating things, you'll appear higher in the search because they know you're an active host. So this kind of does that, manually updating automatically, and you don't need to feel obliged to go in and update your listing on a regular basis.
Cool. Who has better clam chowder, San Fran or Boston?
Both are great. I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Connecticut. So, shout out to New England for sure. We have, not only is our chowder good, but we have these great sourdough rolls, these bread baskets that you put the chowder in. So I'll give a 1-up to San Francisco on that.
Oh, yeah. I've had those. And you go to the little shacks right outside the restaurants, and that's where you get them. You get a good deal on those.
Exactly. Yeah, we got some good spots out here in the Richmond as well. Don't pay for an overpriced one at Fisherman's Wharf.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Maybe you can send me a guidebook.
Sounds great.
All right.
So, hey, Steve, I'm curious, what's keeping you from opening up your home? Is it your wife specifically, or do you have an extra guest room, or you wouldn't really have a place for them?
Well, we just moved in here in is that my dog, or you got a dog?
You're afraid the dogs are gonna fight your guests or something?
Yeah. Well, I have a little vicious little Chihuahua. Now she's real cool. She's Katrina. So anyways, we do have a big area in the back that would be perfect for it. But my wife, she just got her esthetician degree, and so she wants to set it up as her beauty salon, which is cool. But I keep thinking, man, I can make so much money from that extra what's it called, mother-in-law room that I got back there. But got to keep the wife happy, right?
Happy wife, happy life.
Exactly. So real quick, where do you see for the future of Airbnb? Small question. What do you see for the future of Airbnb, short-term rental market? And is Airbnb going to be just here to stay, like a Walmart or freaking McDonald's? Is it going to be just something that's always going to be part of our life?
Well, it'll be interesting to see how they can keep their roots of the home sharing, where, originally the core were people sharing an extra bedroom in their home, and then slowly it's moved to, separate standalone vacation rentals, and now they have the whole Airbnb Select, which is kind of more higher level, but also they've been adding bed and breakfast, and they also just announced they're adding hotels to the platform. And it says like it needs to have a local flavor, and like there's a few criteria that the hotels need to meet, but pretty much any boutique hotel and even some of the larger chains meet those criterias. And on the flip side, Expedia, which bought HomeAway, they are showing hotels, and now they're also starting to list vacation rentals. And Booking.com, they have always had hotels and vacation rentals, and they've always been huge in Europe, and they're getting more and more popular here in the United States. So it seems like over the next couple of years, they're all starting to look alike a bit. Expedia's offering other tours and activities, and TripAdvisor, of course, they offer a bunch of tours and activities, and Airbnb now is offering experiences, and they're offering restaurant reservations. So they're slowly becoming similar, and it'll be interesting to see how Airbnb tries to expand and offer these additional services while at the same time keeping their enthusiastic base and their roots of home sharing.
Yeah, like you said, there's so many platforms doing it now, and they're all looking alike or similar, like you said. It's hard to say, let's just kick Airbnb out now. Right? Yeah,
what do you think? Where do you see it going?
you can't. I mean, they're gonna just have to. I think it's gonna be here forever. People found a way to make money by renting out rooms in their house, and it's helpful, I mean, especially for older generation that need that extra income. I mean, it's great. It's awesome, and they get to meet people. It's more of a it's the share part of the share economy, and you can't stop it once it's started. You can't stop it. You could try to contain it, but like you said, there's so many. You ban Airbnb. Well, they'll just get on a HomeAway or VRBO or Expedia or whatever, or Booking. There's so many other platforms, and then plus people doing their own platform. I mean, it's going to be impossible to squash.
For sure. I'm curious to see, Brian Chesky, he's been teasing out this whole airline thing for a while. I'm curious to see if they make a move into that space, and because traveling, that it seems like they want to do the whole tip to tail experience of traveling, own your whole travel experience from the airline to where you're staying to where you're eating and the experiences you're going on. And if they could make a real drastic change in that space like they did in the accommodation space, that would be a big win.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I work for an airline, actually. So, I love to travel. I love to use Airbnb, and I fly for free. So it's very beneficial for me. So, and I've noticed that with I go to Kayak sometimes to look at if I can't find an Airbnb, in a certain area, a nice one. I'll look at Kayak, and it compares all the hotels. You know what I'm saying? And I
heard they're going to start offering vacation rentals, Kayak. If they haven't already, it's in beta or something like that. Seriously.
Wow. That's awesome. But the first thing when you've been on Kayak, the first page it takes you to is to do your flight. It wants you to look up your flight first, right? It guides you to that. So but I'm I fly for free, so I just hop on the hotel part or whatever. Yep. I'm not trying to big time you. But
yeah, you've said that 3 times now. For free. Okay, I get
it. But calm down. Ooh, big me. So yeah, I see. It seems it would be simple enough for him to implement if Kayak or if Hotels.com does the same thing. Your first page, they want you to book the flight through them. It seems simple.
Well, if that's all it is, yes, that's pretty easy. But Brian probably, usually shoots a little higher. So I don't know if it means having their own branded airline or co-branded where they offer additional features or who knows what. But I'd be surprised if they just kind of resold, sold on their platform another airline.
Or if I can, the seat that I have that day, I can throw that seat on Airbnb, 22A. I just throw it there.
That'd be funny. Or you can share your seat. Take turns standing in the aisle and being in that seat.
Or share it together. Who knows? Share economy. Well, cool, man. Thank you so much for hopping on our show. I'm speaking for me and Myka. And definitely you got to hop back on when Myka's here. He's a riot. So thank you for being on. Go ahead and tell people where to find you, look for you. Go ahead and tell them all about, all that stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. Check us out at hostfully.com. So again, it's HOSTFULLY.com. And as we said earlier, a discount code for 2 free months. I did not do Sexy Steve as Steve requested, but instead the coupon is Live Let Thrive. So check that out, check us out, and feel free to, if anyone has any questions, wants to get in touch, shoot me a line directly. My email is david@hostfully.com.
Awesome, man. Thanks for hopping on, and good luck with that, all that good stuff that you're doing.
Hey, Steve, it's been real. Thanks so much for having me. It's great joining the lines of Jasper and Lenny and Tyler Work, who you had as well. He's a Hostfully client, so it was great hearing him. And really appreciate all you're doing for the community, and thanks for including me.
Oh, you're welcome, and I fly for free.
Number 4.
All right, man. Later.
All right, good stuff.
Bye. And that, again, was David Jacoby, the great David Jacoby from Hostfully. And it was a great show. I hope you all enjoyed it. I learned a lot from it. I'm going to get me one of those guest books going. And like I said, this isn't an infomercial. We just met him, a friend to a friend, and we think he's cool. If you're going to sign up for Hostfully, it'd be cool if you used our Live Let Thrive thingy. And we're not getting paid or nothing, but it just shows, it helps. It helps. You're helping to grow the show. and we appreciate that. If you like the show, help us out a little bit, help us grow it. And like I'll say, leave reviews and all that stuff. But, whatever. If you get a time, leave a review. That'd be great. But just keep listening and keep telling people about it. And thanks for helping us grow this thing. This is something we really love. Me and Myka really love this show, and we love providing all this information for y'all. And so on that note, thank you very much. And hit us up on liveletthrive.com, liveletthrive@gmail.com. Leave us an email. Call that number that's on there, and have a good one. See y'all later.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.